The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Chandima Virakon. The headlines. The Met Department predicts that heavy showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island after 2 p.m. Aswesuma beneficiary payment will be provided from January without delay. The government will give priority for entrepreneurs than the providing of relief. Sri Lankan woman gives birth to sextuplets. 2 Sri Lankan women were kidnapped at the Israel-Jordan border. Thousands of people arrive at Gaza-Egypt border. Local stories in detail. Due to the intertropical convergence zone affecting the island's weather, heavy showers of above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the Uva, Sabaragamuwa and Central provinces, the forecasting division of the National Meteorological Centre said. They said that due to its influence, the current rainy conditions over the island are expected to enhance. However, showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island after 2 p.m. Meanwhile, the landslide warnings imposed to the 9 districts have been further extended. Additional Commissioner of the Welfare Beneficiary Board, Ratnasiri Rajapaksa, says that the Aswesuma beneficiary payment will be provided from January without delay while providing solutions to all existing problems relevant to the payment by December this year. The payment has been provided to 1.2 million beneficiary families relevant to the month of July. He stated it is hoped to provide payment for other families during the next 2 months. Speaker Mahinda Yapa says in Parliament today that another 30 petitions have been submitted to the Supreme Court regarding the draft bill on the safety measures of the online system. Earlier, 4 petitions have been submitted in this regard. Acting Finance Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya says that measures have been taken to safeguard the farmers when removing the important limitation. Meanwhile, Ali Zahir Maulana Syed of Sri Lanka Muslim Congress was sworn in as a Member of Parliament this morning to fill the seat left vacant following the removal of former Minister Nazir Ahmed. He took oaths before Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Yapa shortly after the commencement of today's session. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with the local stories, Acting Minister Anupa Pascal says that the objective of the Samurdhi movement is to become the Sri Lanka from welfare move to the entrepreneurship ventures. He also stated that the Samurdhi movement is not a movement that will provide relief further. Parliamentarian Vajra Abeyewardene said in Parliament that the Media Authority Act is important to the future development and the national safety. A Gazette notification in this regard was published on the 15th of last month after tabled in the Parliament. There will be a possibility to use social media and the new technology for the betterment of the country through the implementation of the safety of the only system draft bill. Sri Lanka has welcomed the rare birth of sextuplets at the Castle Street Hospital for Women in Colombo. As per reports, a woman from Ragama has given birth to sextuplets. Speaking in this regard, neonatal pediatrician Dr. Saman Kumara said all 6 babies are currently being treated and monitored in the neonatal intensive care unit. Accordingly, 5 of the babies are receiving medical attention at the Castle Street Hospital, while the other infant is at the National Hospital in Colombo. Dr. Saman Kumara mentioned that the babies were born prematurely at 26 weeks and weighed between 400 grams and 700 grams at birth. Sri Lankan ambassador to Israel Nimal Bandara said that 2 Sri Lankan women were kidnapped at the Israel-Jordan border. He said that the Sri Lankan embassy is taking steps to locate the 2 women. He added that they are yet to receive information on the 2 other women who have been reported missing. In the meantime, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is holding talks with the Egyptian embassy to bring Sri Lankans living in Gaza to Sri Lanka via Egypt. Representative Office of Sri Lanka in Palestine, Bennett Kure, says plans are underway to evacuate the Sri Lankans via the Rafah border crossing. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. The Met Department predicts that heavy showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island after 2 p.m. Aswesuma beneficiary payment will be provided from January without delay. The government will give priority for the entrepreneurs than the providing of relief. Sri Lankan women gives birth to sextuplets. 2 Sri Lankan women were kidnapped at the Israel-Jordan border. That ends the local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Taking a look at the main news story, the UN Vesak Festival will be conducted in Sri Lanka next year. Minister Vidra Wickramanayake made this remark at the headquarters of the Mahasangha of the Sri Lanka Ramagna Nikaya in Narayanpeta. He also stated that the government and the president will take their utmost efforts to make the success of the Vesak Festival. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watch Light. In light of recent weather fluctuations, medical officials are cautioning the public about the potential spread of a viral infection. Senior consultant physician Dr. Ananda Vijayavikrama said this can be attributed to the fluctuation in temperature and change in weather conditions. Although not a seasonal flu, viral infections are common, but Dr. Vijayavikrama warned that ignoring medical attention could lead to dangerous consequences. Therefore, it is essential for individuals to seek immediate medical attention if they experience persistent symptoms such as sore throat, cough, runny nose, fever, accompanied by aches and pain, he stressed. Dr. Vijayavikrama also urged people not to take antibiotics without the guidance of medical professionals. That ends the main news story. Moving on with Watch Light. And now the world news headlines. Thousands of people arrive at Gaza-Egypt border. Putin in China aiming to strengthen anti-West coalition. Europe shaken after 2 Swedes shot dead. Thousands of people in Gaza have gathered at the Rafah border crossing with Egypt as diplomatic efforts continue to open it before Israel starts its expected ground operation. But the United Nations said there had been no progress in negotiations on reopening of the crossing. Cairo blames Israel for not cooperating. All routes out of Gaza are closed as Israel continues its airstrikes in response to Hamas' attack of 7th October. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Israel on Monday for the second time in less than a week. President Vladimir Putin is making a key trip to Russia's most important ally, China, that will seek to show up an alliance against the West and celebrate China-Russia ties. The small city of Heihe sits along China's border with Russia. Local tourists come here to peek into neighboring countries just across the river, but there are not many of them. A tour boat sits idle on the water, pumping out happy-sounding Chinese songs in an attempt to attract customers, but with nobody buying tickets, it doesn't look like it's going to move all day. Across the water, a Russian Coast Guard ship is parked and officers pass the time doing exercises on deck in the autumn sun. 2 Swedish nationals have been shot dead and a 3rd person injured in Brussels in an attack which prosecutors are treating as terrorism. The Belgium-Sweden Euro 2024 qualifier football match being played in the city was abandoned. Brussels is on its highest terror alert as the gunman, who appeared to have an assault rifle, remains at large. French President Emmanuel Macron, who was on a visit to Albania, said, "Europe has been shaken." A spokesman for the Belgian federal prosecutor, Eric van der Say, urged the public to go home and stay at home as long as the threat has not been eradicated. To end the world news, the headlines again. Thousands of people arrive at Gaza-Egypt border. Putin in China aiming to strengthen anti-West coalition. Europe shaken after 2 Swedes shot dead. That ends the world news for now.
Development news.
And on the development news, the Coca-Cola Foundation, through a grant to its implementing partner, V-Effect, has unveiled its latest project fortifying its commitment to sustainable water management in Sri Lanka through the successful renovation of 3 vital reservoirs located in the Batticaloa district. That came to you in the development news.
Sports news is brought to you by Shakti. Refresh your mind and body with Shakti Energy Drink. 350 rupees only. Available at island-wide leading groceries and supermarkets. Shakti. Taste the power.
And on sports news, Sri Lanka's Pathum Nissanka yesterday said the team will learn from their mistakes after going down to Australia in the World Cup and strive to win the remaining matches. A 5-wicket loss at Lucknow's Ekna Stadium made Sri Lanka slip to their 3rd successive defeat in the round-robin tournament, where each team will play 9 league matches. Meanwhile, Australia team has recorded of winning the majority of matches at the World Champion Cricket Tournament in the history of cricket world. Accordingly, they have won 70 matches. New Zealand 57 and India gained victory of 56 matches. Sri Lanka has won only 38 matches in their history of cricket. Will the International Olympic Committee (IOC) allow the Afghanistan men's cricket team to participate at the 2028 Los Angeles Games in the absence of a women's team? IOC President Thomas Bach has said that governing body will continue to monitor very closely how much access and support women receive to play sport in the war-torn country, which has been under the rule of the Taliban since August 2021. That came to you in sports news.
Shakti. Refresh your mind and body with Shakti Energy Drink. 350 rupees only. Available at island-wide leading groceries and supermarkets. Shakti. Taste the power.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On the business news, Sri Lanka's tourism industry is experiencing a surge of optimism as the country welcomed over 50,000 tourists in the first 15 days of October. The strong start to the month has set a positive tone for the ambitious monthly target of 147,789 arrivals. From 1st to the 15th of October, Sri Lanka saw an impressive total of 50,395 tourists arriving, pushing the cumulative figure for the year to over 1.06 million mark, an encouraging rebound from the challenges of 2022. That came to you in business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
And on economic news, Hanas Holdings Company has reached an agreement with the pioneer of the hotel management, Aiden Services and Sophia Management in Singapore. Accordingly, measures will be taken to develop hotel projects in Sri Lanka by the company. Sophia Management Company has been registered with the Japan stock market. Hona's company has developed the government building of Visumpaya as a hotel. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. The intertropical convergence zone, where the winds from the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere converge, is affecting the island's weather. Due to its influence, the current rainy conditions of the island are expected to continue. Showers and thundershowers will occur at times over most parts of the island. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in Uva, Sabaragamuwa, southern and central provinces. The Met Department predicts that heavy showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island after 2 p.m. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The Met Department predicts that heavy showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island after 2 p.m. Aswasuma beneficiary payment will be provided from January without delay. The government will give priority for the entrepreneurs than the providing of relief. Sri Lankan woman gives birth to sextuplets. 2 Sri Lankan women were kidnapped at the Israel-Jordan border. Thousands of people arrive at Gaza-Egypt border. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.